Nope. It's stuck. So I could totally be sitting out here all night long pretending I'm shifting gears and driving this thing down the open highway just like in Vanishing Point. And I'd love to do that. And thankfully, with my Kove Command speaker, I can easily do that. This thing is super loud. It's got a bass function, so I can really hear the rumble of the engine if I wanted to play some exhaust notes through this thing. Or I can have some really nice open road trip music. Whatever I want to do, Kove Command speaker is there for it. And you can play it through your laptop, your tablet, or you can be just as simple as I am and use your cell phone and hook it up to Bluetooth, and that's what I'm doing right here. This thing has a battery life of 8 hours, so I can sit here all night. As long as I want to, I can be making some really cool road trip predictions and what I want to do with it, making plans of whatever I want to do. And this thing is really handy if you're wanting to work out in the shop and you need some kind of music, and if you have a car that doesn't have a speaker in it or any kind of radio, which I have a lot of, this thing is really handy. Throw in the car, so I can use this thing on road trips on any vehicle that I have that does not have a radio. So I highly recommend going and getting this Kove Command speaker. I have a link in the description below, and it's also in the pinned comment. Use my discount code McCool, and you will get 65% off of this by just using my code. If you use that, you'll be ecstatic with the quality of the sound, and you'll be able to go for 30 feet away from this thing, just let it roll. This thing has some really awesome functions, like a volume on the top. You can change your songs. It's all sorts of great stuff with this little speaker. It's compact, lightweight. You can take it anywhere with you. So again, link in the description below. Discount code is McCool. Check it out. So the Challenger's got 2 flat tires in the back and a locked up drum. Let's fix that. Show you my technique for busting up these old drum brakes when they're stuck. So this thing wouldn't wobble before. Take a good old hammer. See, there's Dad. See how it rotates? Actually wobble now. Now look. Working loose now. Ooh, no pad. And it spins. Stole the spare out of my 72 Dodge Swinger. This is like a 15 by 6 maybe. 195 60 15. So it's a baby tire. Dad has a sneaking suspicion that the keys have a chance of being in the trunk. So what I'm doing right now, take the back seat out, we'll see what we can find. But I bet you build sheets under here. Let's find out. No such luck. Guess we'll take the top of the back seat out now. See if we can find something in it. So I've already taken the bolt out of here. Let's give it a wiggle. I want to be kind of careful with it. These are original seats. The backs are still pretty nice. And there it is. You see that? There's the build sheet, covered in spiders. So back in the day, whenever you would have a new car come down the assembly line, you would get a broadcast sheet, and what this does, it tells you all the different codes that would come with your car. So like, say they have, here's the time it went down the assembly line, you can see time, tells you the fan code that it came with, that's pretty cool, tailpipes, what else, the battery, master cylinder. So it would tell you the code and what it came with, and whenever the number was, that's what type it was. So pretty neat to have all this information right here. I don't have the fender tag, it actually rusted away, so I'm not going to touch this. Just wanted to show you guys what a broadcast sheet looks like, because I know the Charger didn't have one, but I wanted to show you guys that they are still in there. You can still find them. Now we'll run this extension all the way up through there. We may need more. Here's the tricky part. Make sure you don't lose your extensions. Oh! Okay, that's all where the bolt went. There's the trunk lock mechanism. See how the right bolt is gone? One on the left is still there. I'm about to take out the left one. So far, I've got this ignition cylinder laying here, so that's kind of weird. So one of our original hubcaps had 3 in the car. There's a 4th. That's so weird that there's an ignition cylinder in here, though. Still no keys. The floor's pretty shot, unfortunately. But looking up from under the car, the extensions are still pretty good. Something weird about this car that was one of the only options that it came with, besides the Rally gauge cluster, was this rear window defroster. That's pretty rare, especially around here. There's really no reason for it, but guy ordered it new and he wanted it. So you can see, looks like it's all pretty much there. Just took one of the factory speaker holes, which is why it's got speakers up top. So, pretty interesting. To prevent this from happening again, just take out the trunk lock and leave it out. Just lay it on the floor of the trunk so we can hang on to it. Though, if we get new keys, we'll be able to use it. But that's okay. So now we can disengage you with a screwdriver. We'll bolt it back on. The trunk will latch. We'll do that later. Check out that factory color though. It was really pretty back in the day. Some rust in it. Oh well. Well, the unfortunate part is I did not find the keys. So, what I decided to do, we'll pop the steering wheel off and we'll tear it down to the ignition lock cylinder and we'll just disengage it. That way I can just kind of route the ignition switch outside of the column. We can still activate it and we'll be able to steer the wheel. That's really the biggest problem right now, because I want to be able to make this thing to where it can roll. That way I can push it in and out of the shop, because it'll roll pretty easily. It just had those 2 wheels locked up, and then the steering column does not want to steer. So that's what we're going to do with this one. We'll just pop this steering wheel off. And interestingly enough, these are a nice wheel. They're not my favorite. I've always been a fan of tough wheels, but this wheel's pretty nice. So I'll probably hang on to it and leave it like it is. I really want to leave a lot of the stuff kind of the way the factory did it, you know, the best I can. I kind of like the fact that it hasn't really been touched. There it is. Slide that off. I want to put it back together quick if I can. Come on. There we go. Check out what we can do now. Nice. Now I'll be able to roll this thing in and out of the shop. No issues. We'll work on it when we can. That's the biggest battle, is to be able to have this thing move under its own power. But at least I can move it under my power now. Alright, so what you see here, as I mentioned in the last video, if you haven't watched it, go check it out. It's in the top right now. Anyway, this is a 318 two-barrel. This is, from what I understand, the original engine. I highly doubt it's ever been touched. And unfortunately, we will not be able to make this thing start because of the lack of spinability. And by that, I mean it will not spin over. No matter how much pressure you put on the crank to make it turn over, it will not turn. Filled up all the cylinders with automatic transmission fluid and Marvel Mystery Oil, and it's been sitting like that for a month. Still won't move. So I really don't know what else to do besides pull it out. And you could actually go through this engine and fix it, but I've got so many 318s out in the barn that we could actually make this thing work. The shame of it is, rockers look just about brand new. You can see there, they look pretty much untouched. I mean, they're so clean. They changed the oil, it looks like, and I hate that that never survived. It's just not gonna happen, and we can reuse some stuff on it for sure. I'm sure it's a low mile engine, but the problem is we just don't have the capability to make this engine run the way it sits. Regardless, it's really gonna have to come out. If we actually want to keep this thing running safely, you'd really need to pull it out. So what we'll do is go ahead and do that. Like I said, I've got so many 318s we could replace it with, and then whenever we pull this thing, I'll actually let you guys take a look on the inside and we can find what the problem was. Because I really don't think it's a stuck valve. I have a really good feeling that it's a ring in the cylinder wall that just fused together. And it's so bad that it just does not want to come out. This thing sat under a tree for, if it sat for that long, 35 years. There's no telling what got down in the carburetor into the engine. So it's just full of junk, full of rust. So it's basically shot, unfortunately. But we can fix it. Nasty. Tiny radiator, very tiny, but it did the trick. Another pro tip, keep your bolt box as little as possible. Put any kind of bolt you can back where it came from, like these radiator bolts. Stick them right back in the door support. I know exactly where they are when I need them. Whoops. Check out the inside of the distributor cap, see what kind of stories it can tell us. Probably was never taken off. Cap doesn't look too bad. You guys take a look in there. Ooh, there it is. Doesn't look bad. Looks pretty clean on the inside. Honestly, I bet it would have fired. The rotor button doesn't look too bad either. But it doesn't want to come out. It rotates freely though, so I don't think there would have been anything wrong with the distributor. So, oh well. We've got a decent used distributor we could probably take and put into something, or we could, you know, take it apart, rebuild it, and put it back in this thing, save us a little money.
rattles pretty easy when the wheels aren't stuck. Got away from me. It's alright. Take it off this way. Hose there, put it over the top. So this is only the mess that we made just to remove that engine. Most of it's dirt and rust. It just fell out of the car over the years of it sitting. You can see here this is the original engine, and it is in fact a 318. And I can tell you the year of it, and then it's actually an original engine. Right there, see it's was it August of 72, so that would be a very early build for the 73 year model. So this is one of the first Challengers for 73. And over here, if I can get up in here, if it's not covered by the tire, you should be able to see 318. You see it just right there. You see that? 318. So it is in fact, for my best guess, the original engine. I have no reason to think that why it would be anything else besides original. And we've got some good parts here, but our clutch, ooh, it's shot. Pressure plate looks pretty nasty. So there really wasn't any saving what was left. So I'm thinking what we might do is a flywheel for one of these is pretty expensive, so I might just resurface this one, and I don't know, we may pull this engine apart and find something good with it. You know, we might be able to reuse a lot of good stuff on it, but as of now we're just going to put it up and not touch it. I've got a lot of 318s in the barn that we can go through and actually have something that doesn't need a lot of work to put in the car just to make it drive, and I've even got a 360 that I might consider. So on the car itself, we push it over here. What we're going to do is actually take and pressure wash under the hood, clean all this grease and dirt and rust out from under here, all these leaves that are packed up. We want to get rid of all that so it looks nice whenever we actually go to put the new engine in. See all that grease and rust that's built up and all this? That's all going to have to come out, so we might as well make it clean while we can. You know, clean up all the paint, make it look a little bit more decent under the hood. Take a good look at everything before I start. I sprayed some degreaser on a lot of these heavier parts. Main thing I really want to hit, right here on these tie rod ends, I really want to clean those up, because that's where I'm going to be working here in the near future. You know, clean up the steering box and, you know, do all this kind of stuff and just make it look a lot more manageable. And then maybe we'll try and pressure wash on the inner fenders, the firewall. Just get all this junk out of here. You got all this stuff right here. So we'll clean it up and make it look a little bit more presentable. Engine bay is looking a lot cleaner now, and I took a few things off of the firewall and the inner fender here. You can see I took off the charcoal canister for the emissions and then removed the washer bottle because it was actually busted on the bottom. So it's actually cleaning up a lot, and I'm liking the way that it looks. So I guess the next biggest step we need to tackle is really start to tear into this front suspension, because I don't want to drop in our engine before we get into it, but I want to show you really quick what the engine will be. So what we have here is a 360. It's a stock cast iron block that's been bored 40 over. We have Keith Black Hyper Eutectic pistons, and check out that. All the compressions right there, boys. We got 2 valve reliefs in it, and worked out, I think, with a stock cast iron head. We can probably manage about 9.5 to 1 that any work done to the combustion chamber, and we might even get, you know, a smaller combustion chamber head, something's been milled, or even a thinner head gasket one. We can bump that up just a little bit. But right now, this thing looks amazing. The block's been done, all the machine work is done. It's got new rings, new pistons. Everything's just been reworked and redone. All new bearings and brass freeze plugs in the block. But like I said, they really did a good job of cleaning up everything and making it look nice. I bought it last year at a car show, and then I just let it sit because I didn't know what to put it in. But then all of a sudden the Challenger popped up, and that means that we need to put it in there. Now what that will entail, being that the 318 is internally balanced and the 360 is externally balanced, we will need to find a 360 balancer for external balance, and then a 360 10.5 inch flywheel for external balance, because like I said, the 318 will be internally balanced, and that will be our differences, so we'll have to make that work. But I believe there's a 10.5 360 flywheel laying around here somewhere, surely enough, and I can find a balancer so we can make everything work. But this thing is going to be really nice. I don't want it to be ridiculous, you know. It's going to be a nice engine, a good little small block, and these lightweight pistons are going to make the world of difference with it. So it's going to be really awesome and have all this done. So I'm not into this engine a lot. I think I paid $500 for it because the guy was just trying to get rid of everything, and the engine is just, like I said, all it needs to be is have something put in it. You know, it needs to have heads, intake, all the front accessories, and just throw it in a car. That's really all we need. But this engine is going to look sick. It's going to perform really well, and, you know, still not break the bank. That's the best part about it. Sometimes you just got to sneak up on a deal like this. So that's the engine that's going to go in the Challenger. And that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun. We got a lot done. We got the trunk open by pulling out the back seat. We found that build sheet in the process. We got all of our wheels rolling, and we were able to turn and move the vehicle freely inside and out of the shop. We then were able to pull our engine and get everything sorted out. And we're going to start working our way in the opposite direction, hopefully here soon in the next video, whenever we tear into the front suspension. And we eventually will tear into that 318 and figure out what went wrong as to why it would not turn over. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like down below. If you have any questions for me, feel free to leave a comment. You can also ask me a question by you sending it to my email to the very end of the video. You
can also send in your submission for a project at the end of the video to that same email. Order your t-shirts and your stickers, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed watching the progress of the Challenger, and next week we're really going to start diving deep into the front suspension and totally upgrading it and updating it and making it the best that we can. But first we got to tear it apart, and that's going to be the fun stuff right there. So thanks again, guys. Go check out your Cove Command speaker. Use the discount code McCool and you will get 65% off. I highly recommend this speaker. Sounds great, and it's also fun on long road trips when you don't have a radio. So that's all I got for today, guys. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for the next one. I'll see you then.